Something extraordinary is happening in Los Angeles, an unfolding catastrophe that's reshaping the city. Not just a wildfire, but a roaring inferno turning neighborhoods into ashen wastelands. You may think you've seen wildfires on TV, but trust me, this is unlike anything you've imagined. The increasing frequency and intensity of wildfires in Los Angeles has become one of the most pressing environmental crises of our time. These wildfires, often described as nature's fury amplified by human negligence, have devastated lives, homes, and ecosystems. While wildfires are not new to California's semi-arid landscape, the alarming escalation in their scale and destruction signals a stark warning. What makes Los Angeles so vulnerable to these catastrophic events? For one, the region's unique geography and climate create the perfect conditions. Southern California experiences the infamous Santa Ana winds, violent gusts that sweep down mountain slopes at speeds of over 100 miles per hour. These winds act like a giant blow dryer, stripping away any remaining moisture from vegetation. When paired with prolonged dry spells, which have become alarmingly common due to climate change, the result is a tinderbox waiting for a spark. Adding to this volatile mix is the abundance of highly flammable vegetation. Much of Southern California's natural landscape consists of chaparral, a shrubland ecosystem filled with plants that produce flammable oils. Firefighters often describe these plants as nature's gasoline. Even under normal conditions, this vegetation is prone to catching fire. However, in recent years, the region has seen increasingly long stretches without rainfall, further drying out these fire-prone plants. The role of human activity. While the natural environment plays a significant role, human activity cannot be ignored. Studies reveal that the majority of wildfires in Southern California are caused by human negligence or infrastructure failures. Whether it's a downed power line, a carelessly discarded cigarette, or an ill-advised firework display, these seemingly minor incidents can spark devastating blazes. In a densely populated area like Los Angeles County, the sheer number of potential ignition sources is staggering. The proximity of homes to wildfire-prone areas also amplifies the disaster. Urban sprawl has pushed residential developments deeper into natural landscapes, creating a dangerous overlap between human habitation and wildfire-prone zones. Once a fire starts, it can quickly spread from vegetation to homes, fueled by strong winds and dry conditions. The embers carried by these winds can ignite new fires miles away, making containment efforts incredibly challenging. The climate connection. Climate change is an undeniable factor in the growing severity of wildfires in Los Angeles. Rising global temperatures have altered weather patterns, leading to longer and more intense droughts. The winters, traditionally a period of rainfall in Southern California, have become increasingly dry. For example, in recent years, LA County experienced one of its driest winters on record, with rainfall totals far below average. This lack of precipitation leaves the soil parched and vegetation dangerously dry, creating ideal conditions for fires to ignite and spread. Moreover, extreme heat waves are becoming more common, further exacerbating the problem. High temperatures not only dry out the environment but also increase the likelihood of heat-related ignition sources, such as sparks from machinery or overheated electrical equipment. These factors combine to create what experts call a fire season, though, in many parts of California, it now feels like the fire season never truly ends. The unstoppable nature of wind-driven fires. One of the most terrifying aspects of Los Angeles wildfires is their unpredictable and unstoppable nature. Wind-driven wildfires, in particular, are a nightmare for firefighters. Unlike traditional fires, which move relatively slowly and can be contained with strategic barriers, wind-driven fires can leap across highways, rivers, and entire neighborhoods in minutes. These fires do not progress linearly. Instead, they scatter billions of embers across vast areas, igniting multiple new blazes simultaneously. Imagine trying to extinguish a firestorm where embers rain down like a blizzard, except each ember is capable of starting a new fire. Under such conditions, traditional firefighting methods, such as water drops from helicopters or fire retardants, often prove ineffective. High winds can ground aircraft, and the sheer speed of the fire's spread leaves little time for evacuation or containment. The economic and ecological toll, the financial impact of wildfires in Los Angeles is staggering. Insurance claims for destroyed homes and businesses run into billions of dollars. Public infrastructure, including roads, utilities, and emergency services, also suffers significant damage. For many residents, rebuilding after a wildfire is not just a financial challenge but an emotional one, as they grapple with the loss of homes, possessions, and often irreplaceable memories. Ecologically, the damage is equally severe. Wildfires destroy habitats, displacing countless animals and often leading to the extinction of local species. The fires also release massive amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change and creating a vicious cycle. The loss of vegetation further destabilizes the environment, increasing the risk of landslides and soil erosion during the rare occasions when rain does fall. Why fire suppression isn't enough? Despite advancements in firefighting technology, containing these massive wildfires remains a Herculean task. Helicopters dropping water and fire retardants often make for dramatic visuals, but in reality, they are only a small part of the solution. These methods are most effective in the early stages of a fire. Once a blaze grows beyond a certain size, suppression efforts become increasingly futile. One of the biggest challenges is that the very conditions that make these fires so destructive, high winds and dry vegetation, also render suppression tactics less effective. For instance, water dropped from helicopters evaporates almost instantly in the intense heat, while fire retardants struggle to create barriers when embers are spreading fires far beyond the drop zones. A need for proactive measures. Given the limitations of firefighting efforts, it is clear that prevention is the key to mitigating the wildfire crisis. This includes both environmental and infrastructural measures. On the environmental side, controlled burns can help reduce the amount of flammable vegetation in high-risk areas. While controversial, these planned fires are a proven method for minimizing fuel loads and preventing larger, uncontrolled blazes. From an infrastructural perspective, there is an urgent need to modernize power grids and bury power lines. Many of the most devastating fires in California's history have been linked to utility equipment failures. Burying power lines, while expensive, could significantly reduce the risk of sparks during high winds. Additionally, stricter building codes that require fire-resistant materials and defensible spaces around homes could make neighborhoods more resilient to wildfires. The human cost beyond the financial and ecological toll, the human cost of these wildfires is immeasurable. Entire communities have been wiped out, leaving survivors to grapple with trauma and loss. The stress of repeated evacuations and the uncertainty of whether homes will still be standing takes a psychological toll. For those who lose loved ones, the pain is unimaginable. These fires also disproportionately affect vulnerable populations, including low-income families and the elderly. Evacuation can be particularly challenging for those without access to reliable transportation or who depend on community support. This highlights the need for more inclusive disaster preparedness plans that take into account the diverse needs of Los population. The way forward: while the situation may seem dire, some steps can be taken to mitigate the wildfire crisis in Los Angeles. At the individual level, residents can take precautions such as creating defensible space around their homes, using fire-resistant materials, and staying informed about evacuation plans. On a broader scale, policymakers must prioritize sustainable land management practices and invest in climate resilience. This includes not only modernizing infrastructure but also addressing the root causes of climate change through reduced greenhouse gas emissions and a shift towards renewable energy sources. Wildfires are a natural part of California's ecosystem, but their current scale and impact are anything but natural. They are a product of a changing climate, human activity, and a failure to adequately prepare for the risks. Addressing this crisis will require a collective effort, combining science, policy, and community action. As Los Angeles continues to face the terrifying reality of extreme wildfires, the question remains: how many more lives, homes, and ecosystems must be lost before we take meaningful action? The time to act is now, before the fires of tomorrow make today's devastation look like a mere spark.